Hello and welcome to episode 27 of Kerbal Space Endeavour, and this episode is the episode I love. So we're starting to build a new craft here in Jump Zero because we have a window coming up that will let us go to Moho again. And yes, we have sent missions there before, and those were the satellite missions, so now we are capable of sending manned missions there. And after a little bit of construction time, we finally get to complete it. But while this is being built, I wanted to thank Rose Downer, KSP community manager, also called Anthony, for stopping by my Twitch stream the last time around and supporting me and actually putting me up on KSP TV. So thank to him and the entire KSP team, as well as I wanted to congratulate him on his wedding, and I do hope that he gets to go on honeymoon fairly soon. So yeah, being hosted by KSP TV was quite a lot of fun, and I hope I was good enough at promoting the game. But let's get back to business here. This is the new craft, the interplanetary spacecraft that is going to Moho, short IPSC. And now we're just gonna transfer some fuels around and get it ready to launch and be ready for the depart window, which is about 24 days away. However, it is time to get this out of the space dock, and I say 1/4 impulse, dead ahead.
1/4 impulse power.
Thank you, Mr. Sulu. I just had to implement this. And if any of you guys are Star Trek fans, I'm pretty sure you loved it as well. So yeah, we're just gonna get this out of the space dock, and we will have to put it onto another docking port because we're not yet ready to leave. We still need to add a little bit of fuel, as you can see in the top right corner of the screen. So we do need to send up a little bit more fuel before we can depart. And we also need to have a crew of 3, and we haven't decided yet who we're going to take. Meanwhile, back on the surface, we are using our new colony logistics module that only consists of the module itself and a few remote control thingies to transfer some fuel. At the beginning, I was planning to transfer rocket parts with this, but then I decided I need the fuel before I need the rocket parts, so we decided to only send the fuel and nothing else whatsoever. So yeah, we're just deciding and seeing how much we can use to send it up to space. And on Jump Zero, we're starting to transfer fuels around to completely have our mission to Moho prepped and ready. So we said 2 more people are missing in our craft. So we have Billy Bobry Kerman, who will be our commander of this mission. We're gonna have Gustus Kerman as our technical officer, and we're gonna have Lumen Kerman, who I decided will be a female Kerbal, to be our pilot, and I think she deserves it. She was our best pilot so far when it came to aerodynamic crafts, and I think it would be awesome if we have a multi-gender spacecraft going to Moho, which is one of the hardest planets to get to actually in Kerbal Space Program. Now I skipped a little bit ahead here because the undocking, somehow the file was corrupted or whatever it was, I couldn't retrieve it. But we did set ourselves up a maneuver node. We skipped ahead 23 days and we are starting to thrust into the direction that is Moho. And we're having these 2 extra fuel tanks on the side, and these will help us get away from Kerbin. We're of course going to ditch them as soon as we run out, and yes, I'm not a big fan of space debris, but getting to Moho is really hard, and I decided, okay, just once we can have some space debris flying around, and we can watch Kerbin go far behind us, and we're leaving DSO of Kerbin. So therefore we were able to do some science. The design of this craft is we have a drive stage. This is at the front that will be going back to Kerbin. And the aft section, you see at the back right here, that will be our lander and our science lab at the same time. It also has the capacity to extract carbonite, so we'll be able to refuel the craft itself and get to all of the different biomes around Moho. Now we need to keep all of the science that we collect in our capsule because I didn't bring a long enough antenna to send any information back home. We will only have satellite connection once we actually reach Moho and use the satellite network we've built there. Now while we're on our way to Moho with our mission, I have built a new mining facility for Kerbin. This is my solution to the problem that I had, and I was unable to transfer things from Mun. So yeah, behold this behemoth that is a mining facility. Getting this into the right location is not easy, and I had to be really careful driving this thing around. And the next location that is suitable for extracting carbonate is fairly far away. So at the beginning I was hoping that I'd make it there in one piece, but you never know. Things tend to go wrong. Now if we look at ScanSat, we have a location that is fairly close to us that has at least 1000 per mil of carbonite, but it is, I estimated at the time it would be like 30 kilometers away, and yeah, you guys know how long it takes to drive around on the surface of Kerbin. So yeah, let's just head out and hope that we do not fall apart on the way. Now, as you can see, after a little while of driving, we already broke our first 2 tires. I was afraid that that would happen, and I figured, okay, this calls for someone to come out here and repair it. So we go in and design a new craft that pretty much is just a car that drives over and stops anytime we need to fix our wheels. So yeah, we're just gonna drive over here ever so fast in double time speed, and no, actually I think this is 4 times acceleration. Yes, it's 4 times acceleration. Like most of my parts that I'm showing you guys are being accelerated because yeah, a lot of the things that I do take a whole lot of time. And I will not show you how long it took me to get to the destination that I wanted to get to. But as you can see, it actually became night, so it took me more than 3 hours of driving this thing to the place that I wanted it to get to. And I had to fix the tires over 60 times, I think. And if we take a look right here, this is the path that I took to get there. So we're just driving over the plains. It had some little bumps right here and there. Then I was stupid enough to go down into this valley. Then I got over the valley, yeah, and to this pit again, and then up the hill again, and then we finally made it to the destination that I felt was right for extracting carbonite. And if we take a look here at ScanSat and zoom in a couple of times, we can actually see that we have about 1000 per mil of carbonite here. Also, ore is very abundant here, so we'll be able to extract metal and carbonite. So yes, we can make fuel, we can transfer metal, and therefore the metal can be reprocessed on jump 0 into rocket parts again. As you can see happening right there, we're depleting metal, we're gaining rocket parts, and we're drastically increasing our scrap metal that we have to turn back into metal again, and the metal back into carbonite and rocket parts, and yeah. But let's move on to the next, and the next is the new encounter, or actually maneuver node of our Moho mission. So yeah, we're just accelerating more and more into the direction we need to go, and after we finally use up the fuel tanks, the extra fuel tanks we brought along, we can ditch them and start heading more towards Moho. After the burn, of course, because it's not 100% accurate, I had to move around and change our next maneuver again. That will be in the near future. But let's go back to our jump 0 right here, and let's build something new. It took quite a lot of metal being transferred up here, but we actually get up to a fairly good amount of rocket parts, as you can see on the right corner of the screen. And we're building a shipyard. I promised we were going to build a new awesome base, and here it is. We're building a shipyard that will cost us 114,000 rocket parts. And it's also going to take us quite some time to build. So we're gonna time warp here, and this took about 10 days to being constructed. If you have a seizure right now, I am sorry. And here it is, the super awesome Shipyard 1. Yes, this is the supercraft I wanted to build, and it is far better looking. It is a lot more stable. It should be a lot better at building ships, providing yeah, it's a space dock. It's a pretty cool space dock. It has an engine. It is balanced. I could technically fly it to different places if I want to. It has more space for rocket parts. It has more fuel. It has more space for metal and a whole bunch of other things. Now, I transferred all that I could over, but the only thing I was not able to transfer over were the Kerbals. So I actually had to transfer them by hand, and if you remember, we had about 12 Kerbals. Actually it was less because we just sent 3 away, so it was 9 Kerbals I had to transfer by EVA, and as you can see that took quite some time. But let's move on. Now that our new space dock is complete, we need to start disassembling the old one. And all of this will be fast forwarded as well, because I think it took me over 3 hours to completely disassemble the old base. And all of this is shown at 16 times acceleration, so you can kind of see how long this took. So yeah, I'm moving this thing into the recycler that I've built right in there, as you can see. And I didn't make it easy for myself right here, but I thought it was pretty cool and fun and trying to get things sliding into the space dock like that. And yeah, let's move on to the next section to be disassembled. For each part that we disassemble, we don't get rocket parts back immediately. We only get metal back that then in turn we get to reprocess into rocket parts again. But yeah, moving these things around, the first 2 sections was fairly easy because the modules at the top had an RCS block on them, and they had an SAS module. And there we go, the next one. It bounced a little bit off, but we got it nevertheless. Now, on to the next part right here. This was a little bit trickier because it didn't have any RCS thrusters on top, and as you can see, I had quite a hard time here getting it in, but in the end we actually do make it. There we go. Alright, next module. Now to get to the next parts, I actually had to nudge this thing kind of out of the way. Initially I thought I was going to take the big space dock and bring it in myself, but it would have fit, but I don't think it would have gotten into the recycler. So I started disassembling other parts of the base, as you can see right here, and started getting them to the recycler. Now, because the other parts were starting to float pretty far away, I remembered I had another recycling module on one of these old parts, so I started using this to actually start disassembling them by just flying at them and swooping them up. Now we did that for the big hangar module, and we also did it for the craft, as you can see over there. However, there was one more part that you saw earlier, the colony logistics module, and that one kind of floated away too far, as you can see right there. It's pretty far away, and they only have RCS, and maybe I could have made it, but I thought, probably not such a good idea, so I just brought this thing back for disassembly. And now that we have everything disassembled, I think it is time for the Ossatron to go back and being docked to the side. So we have docking ports on the sides of the big hangars right there. That adds us 4 docking ports, small, or actually they're normal sized docking ports. We have a lot of big docking ports, but we don't have any junior ones. So now, after a while, with my viewers, they came up with the idea of naming this station Shangri-La, because it's the place where spacecrafts go to die and new spacecrafts go to be reborn. So the last thing to do, because I'm a perfectionist, is getting the craft lined up with the equator of the planet Kerbin. So yeah, we realized we're running low on food, water, and oxygen, so this calls for another mission. Now our behemoth is capable of constantly transferring fuel and some metal and monopropellant to Shangri-La, our new awesome space dock. However, it is not capable of transferring any food or whatsoever, and it was never intended to do that. So this calls for another mission. The thing is, I also need more crew because we just sent 3 people away and that hurts our productivity. So I had another SSTO on standby that will bring a bunch of Kerbals back up to Shangri-La. This time Jebediah, Bill, and Bob are going back into space because I feel like they deserve a new mission. And for that we will bring them up where they will receive a new craft. And once we get to the space dock, we have a normal docking maneuver where we use the docking port that is on the underbelly of our craft, and I was lucky enough that it actually fits. Now, well, this episode comes to a conclusion. I am really happy of how this turned out. A lot went right this time. Pretty much all of what I wanted to do went right. And I hope you guys like my ideas. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did when trying to record it. And I'll see you guys next week.